Well, it's first of all really a pleasure and honor to be here. Last night's dinner just met the most fascinating people. So I got the invitation to come to New York and speak. It's really one of those situations where I probably didn't give enough credit to how amazing of a group of people I was coming to join. So thank you all, and thank you, Avi, for welcoming me. And thank you for letting me kind of expand what I get to talk about. I mean, I get to ask to talk about Google a lot. Of course, people are interested in what we do at Google, and I'm happy to, and I'll go there here in a bit. But Avi was cool enough to say, talk about anything. So starting with this slide, because I in my career have been most motivated by this question when someone says, that's impossible. I just love it. It's like how I get motivated to do the work. And I think I've had a couple roles in my life. I've been in construction. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been a developer. I've been an investor. I've been a consultant. And I'll talk about the project in Santa Monica a bit. But I think that project numerous times, Fred Fisher's team, as great as they are and great as they were and as great as the project they executed, there was moments where they looked at us as the client and said, that's probably going to be impossible. So that line that I just had on the last slide, you had me at impossible, I said in a meeting once to them. I think it's how we get the best out of each other, right? It's how we get the best out of you as designers, I think, is when you're seeing the opportunity to do something great. And it's, again, I think what attracted me to Google, and it's what hopefully Google saw in me as someone who embraces it. So my role is, I call myself Net Zero Lead here, Global Carbon Program Manager. Essentially, at Google, I work for RUS. It's the acronym for Real Estate and Workplace Services. And so Google's got these very ambitious public climate commitments across data centers, across procurement, across the phones and laptops that you use, that we build. And my job is to ensure the real estate organization contributes to those goals positively. So I'm going to start with some slides here that really continues to build this foundation of things that are hard, things that are crazy, things that are impossible. I love that I'm here at Design Optimism, so we can lean into these ideas. This is the Santa Monica City Hall project when it was finished. Those of you who work in the Living Building Challenge know the Living Future Institute, know this foundational question that Jason McLennan started with when he started the Living Building Challenge, which is, what does good look like? I think we can all acknowledge LEED and other certifications have been great market transformation tools, but it's kind of, let's be honest, less bad than what is good. And so I think we should always approach strategies. Like I'll talk to a little bit. My job at Google is kind of about corporate strategy, real estate portfolio strategy at scale. I'm not individually project focused as much anymore. So whether that's corporate strategy, whether it's individual buildings, whether it's products like the last panel, what does good look like? Let's start there. This is a view from the Bullitt Center, another famous green building in Seattle, Living Building Challenge certified, a huge inspiration for the building we built in Santa Monica. I think what was amazing about our project in Santa Monica and projects that we do at Google and the Bullitt Center is each one builds upon each other. And the fact that they went out on a limb and did something that maybe at the time probably seemed crazy to those designers, to the local codes and standards team, to the investors, they executed. They moved past the impossible. And that enabled the next project to say, well, look, we're going to use composting toilets too because there's a 6-story office building in Seattle that's using them effectively. So I work at a tech company, of course. We a quote here from Tim Cook. And again, I just continue to love the ideas when we create strategies, when we start with crazy. At Google, when you start, you're given a handbook, and the founders, Larry and Sergey, have always had this idea, this exact quote, to tell employees when they start here to have a healthy disregard for the impossible. And again, it's what attracted me there, and it's, I think, why we'll continue to do great work, and I think that's how innovation happens. So I'll talk a little bit about carbon-free here at Google. We made an announcement in 2020, the CEO, that we are going to operate on 24/7 carbon-free energy. So carbon-free energy in all places, at all times. Lots of companies are making net zero, carbon neutrality commitments. We think this is unique, and I'll talk a little bit why that is, because it's taken the idea of offsetting and pushing the problem elsewhere and saying, we as a company, when we operate, we want to operate every hour of every day in every place on local carbon-free energy. We like to show this slide as sort of to frame up why it's unique, what's different. We're climbing the mountain here. So in 2007, we became one of the first major companies to be carbon neutral, and a lot of that is through offset work, which I think all of us in the carbon net zero space know that offsets are good. There's a place for them, and Google is very serious about ensuring that we do high quality, credible, reliable, trackable carbon offsets. But we all also can recognize that's not how we're going to solve the problem. We need to do it in our own house, in our own footprint. So in 2017, we became the first major company to be 100% renewable annually across the world. So all data centers, all manufacturing, all real estate, you add up all of that energy usage on the year, we, through our own additional power purchase agreements around the world, matched that with renewable energy. But it wasn't local, it wasn't time-based, it was just kind of accounting around the world. 100% renewable meets 100% of our energy usage. Amazing foundational work that we hope major companies continue to follow our lead on, but that wasn't enough. That was hard though, and that's why we climbed up that hill a little bit. The Googler there at the top of the cliff is 24/7. So this is next frontier of operating on carbon-free energy. Our CSO, Kate Brandt, just posted on LinkedIn about an announcement at the C40s Collective where we're going to be collaborating with cities to try to adopt 24/7 carbon-free energy commitments. So we're very open as a company about the idea here that we can't do this alone. No company can. It will take all of us, cities, companies, communities, to get the grid to where we need it to be to say by 2030, we are all operating on carbon-free energy every hour, every day, and every place. And this would be better if this was dynamic. I had to take a screenshot of it, but it's kind of showing there on the x-axis the year, January to December, and on the y-axis is time of day. And in various grids where we operate, we look at the carbon-free energy at every moment, and it shows that when you don't have these solutions of wind and solar and batteries, load optimization, that there's a lot of brown spots in different spots of the day. There's a lot of green because as we're ramping up carbon-free energy around the world, there's a lot of that in the middle of the day, of course, when the sun is shining. But that's why this is going to get really difficult, because every hour, every day, and every place means we got to get a lot of scale carbon-free energy out there. And then we like to use memes at Google. What I've focused on a lot from the real estate team is on electrification. So we are always changing, but at the moment, 800 buildings around the world, 160 cities, 60 countries. And one of the things I focus on is how do we get all of them to heat their water, spaces, and food with only electricity by 2030. Another, you might call it moonshot. And again, I've been told internally at Google even, that sounds impossible by 2030, but we love it, and we got a strategy. So Santa Monica, I'll try to go quickly here because I know we want to get to questions, but that's the City Hall East there behind our Santa Monica City Hall, which is an amazing building in itself. A lot of you architects probably know of it, 1930s, Art Deco, National Historic Landmark. So when Frederick Fisher was asked to build the building behind it, the perspective of honoring the historic landmark was very important, even in addition to, of course, the very incredible sustainability goals. But we set out to build the world's greenest building. That was something we said in the earliest design, charrettes. What is the greenest building we can build on this footprint? So my involvement on it was, it's a story that changed my career. I was a green building advisor in the Office of Sustainability for the city when the project started. And I was in an early design meeting, and I thought to myself, wow, they're really saying world's greenest building. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. So I made it a mission to say, I'm going to do everything I can in my role as the green building advisor to support the project execution team within the city in the architecture services division and the amazing design build team that you see here that had to task with executing it. But there was a couple years in, there was a shakeup on the project management team within the city. The person who was managing left, and our staff had been recently reduced, and there was no one left at the city who knew about the project that could manage it. And I knocked on the door of the public works director and said, I used to work at Skanska. I know a little bit about construction. Why don't you put me in charge? And she gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. I was 32 years old, and I was in charge of an $80 million world's greenest building, living building challenge, targeted lots of high profile within the city. There was a lot of press that we were spending too much money. But my message, I think, the lesson I learned from the project when I got put in the seat of managing the project was we just really, every stake in the road when there was a decision about, are we sure we're going to do this? Are we going to push this gray water system? Are we going to push the composting toilet? Are we going to do rainwater to potable? Are we going to have a weather station, operate the windows automatically? And I ask the designers every time, is this the boldest thing we can do? Is it possible? And can we afford it? And if those answers are yes, then every time it's take the boldest approach. And I think that's a message I hope we all continue to take into our lives as project managers, as designers, as strategists. Ask the question, what is good? What's the best? What's the boldest? Is it possible? And don't take minor excuses like we all know happen on projects that derail some of these decisions that are foundational to getting to where we need to go. So I won't talk so much about the details of the building. We can if you want to go back to the slide. But yeah, it's really an amazing science project of a building. What was interesting too about it is, you might say, never let a good crisis go to waste. We started design in 2014 at in the height of one of the worst droughts in the history of Southern California. So it was in Santa Monica, and it was never a time when there was an appetite for water innovation. So when we went to the California State Division of Drinking Water and said we wanted to treat rainwater collected on site to potable levels that staff are going to shower in, or we're going to use composting toilets in a Class A office municipality building, we never had probably a more receptive audience than we did in the moment because drought was so severe and continues to be. I think even over the course of that project, as we got closer to actually installing these crazy composting toilets, and there was a famous public meeting in front of City Council where the members of the community were threatening to sue the city if we moved forward with these crazy water innovation systems. And I remember us as a staff saying, if we can just get this done, one day the city will thank us for this. And recently, there was a gentleman on the Planning Commission who was very outspoken against us at the time. He called the Living Building Challenge a trophy and a vanity project for the city, and I think we can all acknowledge there's maybe some truth to that, right? We're all chasing trophies, but he recently, one of my colleagues who's still at the city sent me a clip of him speaking at a public event where he was celebrating, now that we're in this terrible drought again in Southern California, look at the city of Santa Monica's water positive building and what is possible out there, and encouraging other developers to go learn about it. So I just goes to show, you be bold, take action, execute, and then the naysayers will come along, right? And I think we had a conversation with Sean, right? We were talking at lunch about code, because he's telling me he's trying to build a living machine project up in upstate New York, and there was a lot of code issues. And part of my biggest role in the project was fighting the code battles. This was a map we took from Oregon, where this nonprofit layered, if you want to do all these various water innovation strategies in different parts of water sourcing and treatment and demand side, who are the agencies, what's the permit, how are you going to get the thing done? We took it as a city of Santa Monica. Again, we're really proud. Santa Monica is a very water innovative place, even before this building. So code-wise and embracing gray water and embracing what the state of California allows you to do in the plumbing code and the health code, Santa Monica was already out in front. But we took this map and said, okay, let's turn this into what we need for Santa Monica. And this document was our early notes. And we just came away thinking, man, we know less about this than we did when we started. And so it was what I think, again, partially, to be honest, changed my career is that we just really fought the battle to get those codes changed and to get special permits and to work with all the agencies I mentioned, California State Division of Drinking Water, LA County Public Health, and even my colleagues in Santa Monica, the plumbing inspector, the building and safety inspector. It took a lot of work to get this building permitted. But yeah, they put my sketch there on the cover of ENR magazine, and that's a very nerdy picture of me when we finally got the permit to build the building with all these crazy systems inside our Santa Monica office building. But yeah, sometimes the permit itself is more than half the battle in doing a crazy building. Yeah, and I did some work learning about composting toilets. That one on the left is from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation in Annapolis. The building in the middle, that's the I think that might be the Bullitt Center there in the middle where I was checking that composting toilet. And then that one on the right, that's ours in Santa Monica, the live composting system in the basement of the Santa Monica City Hall. And amazingly, anyone know who that is? That is the current Secretary of Energy of the United States in the Santa Monica building. She's raking poop in the Santa Monica City Hall right there.
Is that something that has to be done by a human, or can it be automated?
Well, so this always happens when we start talking about poop. But in the middle there, you can see that the Bullet Center used this sort of less intrusive, you didn't have to get involved in it, but we learned that system, Bullet Center might even tell you, there was challenges with it. So when we learned from it, we went to the system we use because and there's one in the Bronx Zoo. The Bronx Zoo here uses this system on the right. It's from Clivis Moultrie. That there's a benefit to seeing it. There's a health and safety, OSHA perspective that needs to be managed, and we think we can, but it's like managing a compost pile in your backyard. It's about managing water and nitrogen, and you got to observe it, making sure it's always in balance. And so that the churning of it, the oxygenation of it, either requires some kind of activation, but yeah, secretary went in there and raked it herself. So that's the finished building. And then I'll finish with, Avi said, I do some advising on the side. I invest and I advise this company called Cesare Capital. And it's sort of in the mission of impossible at scale. So what they do is really simple. They buy existing apartment buildings, Class B, Class C, and they convert to net zero. And I got involved a couple years ago because we were, as a buddy of mine who started the company, and I was just amazed that when he showed the pro forma, they target buildings that have a master meter. So the initial thesis was if we can buy apartment buildings with one electrical meter, the solar installation would have a better return on investment. And I remember just hearing this thinking, this seems so obvious, why is no one doing it? I think we can all know the world of multifamily acquisition is not a nice place for thinking about the environment, or we can maybe also argue it's part of the disease of affordable housing because it's just like buy, increase rent, flip, move on, next company does it. So yeah, it's a really cool business model. I encourage everyone to check it out. Go to the website, Cesare Capital. But the idea is that they want to cover the America's apartments buildings in solar, and they got a really interesting business model to do it, and it's got really good returns. So it's this idea of impact investing at scale, and sometimes the simplest thing maybe is also the impossible, because in this case, it's trying to hack an industry that is really ripe for impact, both with affordable housing and for sustainability. And so it's trying to say, what if a group of environmentalists, of clean tech experts, decided to become apartment building owners? What could be done with the management of those buildings in the future? And so again, I advise them. I'm super excited about it. Sometimes I'm more excited about what they do than I do at Google, because what they're doing is harder. And yeah, they have a building in Texas they bought. It's got one of the largest installations of solar on an apartment complex in Texas. They recently purchased another one. This is going to be a megawatt of solar in Texas. And the idea is, if you can get return on investment from solar, then you have less pressure on increasing rents. So it's this amazing, really, genesis of an idea. And I think this is something that we, as a group, when I advise them, I love when they say this, is because, yeah, impact investment is an overly used word these days, and I think we can all recognize that if it's destroying the planet, it's not an investment, right? So, and they're about to launch this very cool sort of crowdfunding campaign where individuals are going to be invested as little as $5 in net zero buildings. So again, yeah, check out the website.